YouTube? Joyboy here. So today I want to talk about Mythical Zone Devil Fruits Explained, although the explained portion of this is not going to take very long, and then using that information look at 5 characters already revealed in One Piece who may possess a Mythical Zone Devil Fruit. But before we get balls deep in this, I do want to say thank you guys. We are very nearly at 50,000 subscribers. It's crazy, fam. There have been hundreds of people that have come onto YouTube to, in some way or another, discuss One Piece theory, discuss their thoughts on One Piece, but the number of them that have reached 50,000 subscribers, I can count on my hand. I really feel loved, thank you guys. But anyway, to the topic of this video, let's talk about Mythical Zones. And just as a quick aside, I believe that my favorite class of Devil Fruit in the entire story is in fact Mythical Zones. I mean, come on, the rarest kind of Devil Fruit along with Ancient Zones. So dope. In fact, in the canon story, there are only 2 characters that are officially revealed to have Mythical Zones. That is Marco the Phoenix with his Phoenix Mythical Zone Devil Fruit, and Sengoku the Buddha with his Zen Buddha Mythical Zone Devil Fruit. The only other 2 Mythical Zones in the series as a whole are actually non-canon from the game Unlimited World Red, where the main villain of that story, Patrick Redfield, has the Vampire Mythical Zone Devil Fruit, and his pin can turn into a Tanuki, which is a creature from Japanese folklore, and as a side note, Chopper is often confused as a Tanuki, which is the recurring joke calling Chopper a raccoon dog. But anyway, how do we differentiate a mythical zone from a regular zone, aside from the fact that mythical zones usually are creatures from mythology and or legend or folklore? Basically, they are creatures that do not actually exist. And what differentiates them is also the reason that I love Mythical Zone Devil Fruits. As you know, Zone Devil Fruits transform you into some kind of animal, and the general perks of eating a Zone Devil Fruit basically improve your base stats. They make you stronger, faster, more agile, more durable, and have greater endurance. And because of the fluidity that the transformations allow you, you can transform your body in specific ways, incorporating various elements of the animal that you can transform into so that you can fight in specific ways. As you guys know, Chopper ate the Hito no Mi, or the human fruit, and he himself beforehand was a reindeer. So he can transform his body in very specific ways in order to accentuate various traits of the human fruit that he ate, such as jump point, accentuating his legs, arm point, accentuating his arms, heavy point, which is him in his purely human form, walk point, which is him in his mostly reindeer form, guard point, where he elongates the hairs on his body. You get the point. And so for Mythical Zones, I would assume that, although we haven't really seen this firsthand, they would also have the same kind of morphing abilities as well as the general advantages Zone Fruits offer. But what makes Mythical Zones so damn cool is they also have a special ability as well, dependent on the kind of mythical creature your fruit allows you to transform into. So this essentially gives them a zone type fruit, which gives them powers that would be more consistent from a Logia and or Paramecia Devil Fruit. Take Marco and his Phoenix Fruit, for instance. While in his Phoenix form, it seems as though he's essentially intangible, similar to Logia type Devil Fruits such as Akainu or Aokiji or Ace, where his body cannot actually be harmed by physical attacks. In addition to this, even if he is harmed, he possesses regenerative and healing powers that are consistent with the lore of the Phoenix. Low-key, this is my favorite Devil Fruit in the series. And the same concept applies to Sengoku, who essentially can transform into a golden Buddha statue, and it's also interesting to note that it's actually a human fruit similar to Chopper's, but a variant of it. So while Chopper is the traditional human, Sengoku is the human model Buddha. But anyway, using his Devil Fruit ability, Sengoku is able to create shockwaves, they're called Zen shockwaves, which again is a special ability added on to his traditional zone Devil Fruit. And the reason why this is specific to Mythical Zones and not others is because we do not see any other zone type Devil Fruit, whether it be ancient or regular, have any abilities aside from just physical transformations and physical stat boosts. And so it's pretty cut and dry. If you can transform into an animal and you also have special, almost magical abilities, then you are a mythical zone. And so before we talk about the 5 characters that I think could possess a mythical zone but has not been revealed yet in the story, I want to talk about Momonosuke, who I'm very, very confident has a fake or artificial mythical zone. And the argument is very simple once you understand what differentiates regular zones from mythical zones. Mythical zones can produce can do something almost magical, and Momonosuke has that ability. He can produce spontaneously clouds that almost look like nimbus clouds. And so from this ability alone, also given that his artificial devil fruit turned him into a dragon, which is also a mythological creature, it seems very cut and dry that Momonosuke has a fake mythical zone devil fruit. And so I think a lot of people are probably going to want me to, or expect me to, mention Blackbeard, because there's a very common theory that Blackbeard ate the mythical zone devil fruit Cerberus, and that using this Cerberus devil fruit, it allowed him to eat other devil fruits. And to be as frank as possible, I highly do not believe in this idea. If you guys want me to remake my original video talking about Blackbeard and his powers and all the theories relating to how his powers work, how he's able to consume devil fruits, let me know. But if not, we're going to move on. Another character who's commonly theorized to have or possess a mythical zone is Monkey D. Dragon. This is another one that I'm not going to mention because, not because it's actually a bad speculation. I actually think that the theories suggesting him having a mythical zone make sense. I just think that it makes more sense for him to have the plain Jane win Logia. Again, if you guys want me to remake my video on the topic about explaining Monkey D. Dragon's powers and why I believe certain things, then let me know, but if not, we will move on. And I'm certain there will be several other characters who people have speculated might possess a mythical zone, but they're either ideas that I don't buy at all or I'm not aware of. So if there's anything else to add to this, let me know in the comments. But without further ado, let's talk about number 5. And number 5 is Kinema. There's really 2 thoughts in regards to Kinemon's devil fruit. One is we already essentially know it. Now, I want you to keep in mind that his devil fruit has not been named or clarified, right? So it leaves it open to speculation. However, he is shown by placing an object on people's heads, he can transform their clothes, and a lot of people just say, well, Kinemon has the closed devil fruit. A fairly straightforward theory. But where it gets less straightforward and extremely interesting is the speculations that Kinemon might have a mythical zone devil fruit. Now, I think the most popular idea is that he might have the Kitsune or 9-tailed fox devil fruit. I think that this was first mentioned in a video by OneWorldHD, and I think the theory was made by Strongworld. Now guys, of course, he could have straight up the closed devil fruit, but there's certain things that are interesting about Kinemon's devil fruit powers which I think warrant this particular speculation. And the first of which is that if he does indeed have the closed devil fruit, why is it necessary for him to place an object on people's heads first before transforming their clothes? Oda has a habit of introducing very strange drawbacks to certain devil fruit abilities that are clearly overpowered without them. However, in the case of the closed devil fruit, there's really no need. So I don't see any reason why Oda would decide for this limitation on Kinemon's devil fruit and not just be able to spontaneously create clothes. There are many much stronger paramecia type devil fruits which do not require awkward circumstances in order to produce whatever substance their devil fruit allows them to create. But that's honestly a pretty arbitrary reason. The main reason why this speculation and others similar to it are very viable is because it's common in Japanese folklore for specific mythical creatures to in some way incorporate placing an object on either their heads or others' heads and changing their appearance. One of those actually being the Kitsune, or the 9-tailed demon fox. Essentially, it puts like a leaf on top of its head and it can transform its appearance. And so the idea with Kinemon is that where he's from, this devil fruit, he doesn't even know what he ate. He doesn't know that he ate a devil fruit, and of all the characters in One Piece who may not be able to fully use their devil fruit ability or may be in some way highly against the idea of using their devil fruit powers if they are aware of them, the character would be Kinemon. Like, I could really see Kinemon transforming into a Kitsune and thinking of himself as a demon and literally suppresses the demon. So he actually never uses his devil fruit, a power aside from the one that is relatively harmless, which is an extension of his just in general Kitsune powers. And there's other interesting connections as well, such as Kinemon's epithet being Fire Fox. Kinemon, his ability to in some way produce fire, which could be an extension of his devil fruit because the 9-tailed fox also has that ability. But anyway guys, I personally love this theory and I really hope it's the case. Perhaps, though, my hope is overcoming here the logic of the situation, which is it's vastly more likely that he probably just has the closed devil fruit. But I do not think that is the case for number 4. In number 4, we want to talk about Lafitte. Lafitte, a member of Blackbeard's crew, and I honestly believe it is most likely that Lafitte does in fact have a mythical zone. And of course, just like in the previous example, Lafitte's devil fruit is not named, thus creating ambiguity and the option in the future for Oda to reveal something that it wasn't quite what we expected. But for starters, one thing that I do like more about Lafitte than Kinemon is Lafitte definitely has a zone type devil fruit. We've seen him sprout wings in a couple of occasions. So it's essentially confirmed that Lafitte is some kind of bird zone. However, what really makes it possible or likely that he may be a mythical zone rather than a regular zone? Like, he could be a, bird model dove for all that we know. And the reason behind the speculation, and I absolutely love this, is something Lafitte revealed during Marineford. He essentially said that he hypnotized the Marines in the control tower in order to allow for the gates of justice to open. But it is not shown or revealed how he was able to hypnotize them. And so while hypnotism does not have to be the product of a devil fruit ability, look at someone like Django for an example of that, at the same time, given that it's completely unrevealed how he was able to do this, and he has a zone type devil fruit, it's honestly very reasonable to put these two powers together into one power. He is a bird that is able, or some kind of bird that is able to hypnotize his enemies, thus making him a mythical zone type bird. And so the theory that I subscribe to here was revealed to me by Alpha2Late17. But essentially, Alpha speculates that Lafitte may be a mythical zone siren of Greek mythology. And this honestly, guys, fits in so many different ways. Sirens from Greek mythology were believed to be a combination of women and birds, similar to the harpy. And it is very interesting that despite Lafitte being a dude, he looks very feminine. And so basically, sirens were dangerous creatures who lured nearby sailors with their enchanting music and voices. And this could definitely be described as a form of hypnotism. But this isn't the only idea that I really like. The other idea that I really like is Lafitte having the Spirit Owl Mythical Zone Devil Fruit. Now, firstly, this was made by Enel One Piece theorist, and at least that's how I learned of it, and the wings that Lafitte has shown so far are actually very reminiscent of owl wings. But again, what potentially makes this a mythical zone rather than a regular zone is that owls are often given in various mythologies, the power of hypnosis. And if Lafitte is an owl with this power, then that would, I would think, given the definition of a mythical zone versus a regular zone, make him a mythical zone. And so my last point for this is that it's very clear through various details revealed in the story that Blackbeard and his crew are collecting some of the most powerful zones, setting up in the future Blackbeard's entire crew and every member of his crew having overpowered devil fruit abilities. They can essentially choose the best ones to eat. And so what's interesting about this is that of the previous members of Blackbeard's crew before they were collecting these various devil fruits, Lafitte is the only one that we're sure previously had a devil fruit, so he cannot consume another one. So I think Lafitte must previously had an overpowered devil fruit, which I do not think would be the case if he was a just normal owl, but rather would make more sense if he already had a very rare, very powerful mythical zone owl. Or as I said earlier, a siren mythical zone devil fruit. But now let's talk about number 3 for me, and I actually like this idea more than Lafitte's, which is kind of crazy because I really like Lafitte having a mythical zone, and this time I want to talk about Basil Hawkins, one of the supernova who essentially has powers that are similar to that of voodoo. And so the debate surrounding Basil Hawkins is slightly different than the two previous mentioned characters because the debate really is whether or not he has a paramecia type devil fruit or he has a zone. And if his devil fruit is in fact a zone, it would definitely have to be mythical. The reason for this is pretty straightforward. Basil Hawkins has the very overpowered ability to essentially sponge death by using voodoo dolls stored within his body. When he actually dies, rather than dying, one of the voodoo dolls that is connected to the life force of somebody else dies for him. That is a Mythical Zone caliber side effect, if I do say so myself. However, the question then still is he a zone or not? And it's not as easy to answer as it may seem. Certainly he has a scarecrow-like form which resembles a zone, but is this from products that he produces, or does he actually become a scarecrow? And if he does become a scarecrow, what kind of mythical creature is that? And so my favorite idea on the topic is the Bubak, which was theorized by Beckman Theories. And so the connection that you need to know with the Bubak is essentially it's a Czech mythical beast which resembles a scarecrow that essentially weaves cloth out of the souls of its victims. And so in short, the powers of the Bubak sound very similar to voodoo dolls, and it could be that Oda literally combined the concept of the Bubak with voodoo to create Hawkins' fruit. But for sure, Hawkins has two very unique abilities. On one hand, he can create voodoo dolls which in some way connect with the life force of others, and at the same time he can produce straw from his body in order to become a straw-like scarecrow creature. And I think the similarities between his form and zone devil fruit eaters is too similar for us not to really think at this point in time that he is probably more likely to be a mythical zone than just a paramecia. And so the last two I'm going to cover together, and it's kind of cheating and you'll see why in just a second. But in spot number 2 I have the Shogun, and spot number 1 I have Kaido. And I personally am certain one of these two characters definitely has a mythical zone. However, both of them having a mythical zone is not particularly likely, or at the very least has not been foreshadowed in any way. And so why do I think that one of these two characters definitely has a mythical zone? Well, the mythical zone is actually pretty specific. It's the dragon mythical zone. And the reason why I think this is because there's very clearly a huge fear that both Momonosuke and Kinemon have of dragons. Now there's a ton of evidence, but to keep it as short and simple as possible, this is something Kinemon said. Kinemon said, "Now just a moment, people. Upon hearing the word dragon, I cannot be expected to sit idly by. I hold a grudge against their very existence. I promise it will fall by my hand." And so why exactly would Kinemon hold a grudge against dragons? And I think the best answer, and probably the right answer, speaking very confidently here, is that somebody who is antagonistic towards Kinemon happened to be a dragon, or in most likely case, possessed a dragon devil fruit. And the two characters who this could be, in my opinion, are either the Shogun or Kaido. But of course, both of them are unlikely to possess dragon devil fruits, although it is entirely plausible given that there are subclasses of zone types. For instance, the Hito or human fruit, there's Chopper's regular one, and then Sengoku's mythical one. It could be the same for dragons, where there's different kinds of dragons, so it's possible they both have dragon devil fruits, but I don't find it particularly likely. And so between Kaido and the Shogun, which of these characters is more likely to have this devil fruit? And in my opinion, that person would be Kaido. Kaido is the king of the beasts. He presides over a crew that has eaten exclusively zone-type devil fruits or fake zone types and Smile, and it would just seem really likely for him to have the most overpowered zone-type devil fruit, which the dragon mythical zone would definitely fit in this category. And the other reason Kaido is more likely is because we don't know a thing about the Shogun, but we do know an interesting fact about Kaido, which is that Kaido was apparently with his crew on the Blue Sea, and then somehow ended up shortly in the Sky Islands and Balloon Terminal. So how exactly did he get up there? So he could have mad jumping skills, he could have found a path up to it some way, but I think it's most likely that he flew, and if he's able to fly, it would further validate the thought that he has a dragon devil fruit. But anyway, guys, that's just my opinion as always. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you find all of these absurd, you like specific ones, or you like them all. Just let me know. Also, I covered many of these theories briefly, and if you would like to see them in their entirety, I will link to all the theories that I quoted in the description. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.